20-year period, which is less than the previous government's 20-year period.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your question? The member from Newmarket Aurora.
Speaker, my question is to the Premier. Yesterday I asked the Premier about the $770 million Bombardier contract that was signed under her watch as Transportation Minister. She refused to answer any questions regarding that contract. The contract committed the province through Metrolinx to purchase 182 LRT vehicles for 4 projects in the City of Toronto. That contract, Speaker, also set out very specific delivery dates and substantial penalties if those dates were not honoured. My question for the Premier today is this. Before she signed off on that contract,
Minister of the Environment, come to order last time.
Did she inform herself of the details of that contract? Was she aware that it contained specific delivery dates and penalty clauses? And did she know that she was putting millions of tax dollars at risk by signing off on that contract?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I know the Minister of Transportation has some specifics on this issue, and he will answer the supplementary. But I want to just say, Mr. Speaker, that I am absolutely proud of the fact that we have got vehicles being built by Bombardier in Thunder Bay, Mr. Speaker, to supply the transit build that is happening across the GTHA, Mr. Speaker. I am very proud of the billions of dollars that we are investing in transit, Mr. Speaker. Part of the reason that we are doing that is that we have to catch up on transit building in this province, because there were years of neglect, Mr. Speaker, where there was no investment in transit, where congestion was allowed to increase, Mr. Speaker, and we know the economic toll that that has taken and takes every year. So I'm proud of our record in terms of investing in transit. We will continue to do that, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate that all of a sudden the party opposite is interested in transit, Mr. Speaker, but it's a little bit late.
Supplementary.
So the Premier is proud that LRT vehicles are being built in Thunder Bay that have nowhere to go. This is not a good example of the Premier's response of transparency and open government. The current Minister of Transport proved yesterday that he knows nothing about this file. It was the Premier who signed off on the contract. The cost of that contract, because it was a sole source contract, Speaker, was inflated by more than $200 million. And now, because Metrolinx is stuck with those cars, here's what they're doing. They're forcing municipalities like the region of Waterloo to buy those cars, forcing them to bypass an open tendering process so they can offload those vehicles onto the citizens of Waterloo region and others. And so I'm asking the Premier this question. Will she table that contract so that we can see the full cost of penalties to the people?
Thank you. Towards the end of the question, I was having difficulty hearing the member from Newmarket Aurora because someone on your own side was yelling too much. Premier.
Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what the member opposite is talking about.
Order. Order, please. Now I will point out individuals. Thank you. The member from Leeds Grenville will come to order. That's one. Carry on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you don't want to use a BlackBerry or email, good old-fashioned telephone to Metrolinx works really well, Mr. Speaker. There is, I don't know what the fantasy is he's constructing, but there is, the only payment that's been put out recently, Mr. Speaker, was a $65 million progress payment to Bombardier, Mr. Speaker. Metrolinx very astutely and very wisely has bundled all of our LRT purchases, whether it's for the Kitchener-Waterloo line or for the Eglinton line, and very wisely uses the buying power of all these municipalities municipalities together to do progressive purchases of equipment. There is nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, we're getting significant savings, and these contracts are working really well.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
Well, the minister confirmed that he knows nothing about this file. The reality is that a contract has been signed. There are penalty clauses for failing to take delivery on the specified date of delivery. He can try to waffle on this as much as he wants. The Premier wants transparency. Why don't we start with this file? First, the Premier signed off on a sole source contract that inflated the cost of those vehicles by more than $200 million. Second, because there were no competitive bids, they're now stuck with it, and the projects that they were intended for have not appeared. And that's why they're stuck. And so now, one of those consequences is they're trying to offload those vehicles onto municipalities like the region of Waterloo. They told the region of Waterloo they could not go to open tendering because they were forcing them to take these cars. I want to ask the Premier this. Will she stop downloading her mistakes onto municipalities across...
Be seated, please. Thank you. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I said very carefully is I don't know what the member's talking about because I can't find any evidence to support.
I know you've done it, but I'm going to ask it. Will the member withdraw, please?
Again.
And the member from Renfrew will come to order. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the way this works, and quite frankly, I have a good relationship with Ken Sealing and Rob Pritchard and Bruce McQuaig, who I speak to on a regular basis. No one has raised any concern about this, so I don't know who's raising concerns at the member office, Mr. Speaker. We use the purchasing power of large municipalities, which means that Toronto area and Mississauga have a lot of capacity to buy a lot of vehicles. So we buy them, and we buy them when we share them. So we have agreements with Kitchener-Waterloo. There are hundreds of vehicles being bought. As I said many times, we're also buying subway technology. The member from Barrie would know his MPP is a major recipient of those contracts because the tunnels are there. And yes, they get shifted, Mr. Speaker, and with 15 projects, the timing changes.
Thank you.